Cramped and Bloating in Las Vegas by R.H. Henry. Copyright 2017. Narrated by R.H. Henry. Copyright 2020. Chapter 1. A Mission of Sins. We were just outside Barstow at the desert's edge when the go-to cola began to take effect. I remember saying something like I feel a bit clearer when suddenly the skies around us were filled with flashing lights and looming bright letters that seemed to reach to the heavens. These giant multicolored beasts were fast food billboards. Horrible things like separated chicken parts, deep-fried in free radical oil, mystery meat sandwiches laden with MSG and palm kernel oil, GMO corn tacos filled with mad cow and pitched by a talking dog. It was a bad scene. I looked over at my colon therapist. He was covered from head to toe in SPF 90 due to his fear of skin cancer. I wanted to wake him up and tell him about the horrors on the road, but he would be seeing them soon enough. I pointed the red hybrid convertible towards the side of the road and slammed on the brakes. He woke up screaming about safety belts and side impact airbags. "It's your turn to drive," I said, and we switched seats. Just 5 short hours ago, we were sitting in the Big Carrot juice bar on the Sunset Strip when a vegan in a tie-dye hemp t-shirt, bell-bottom faded jeans, and Birkenstock sandals brought us a phone to the table. "Hey man," he said, "you've got a call and these cordless phones can cause cancer." It was my editor from Nature's Guide magazine. He said he wanted me to go to Las Vegas and cover the craft food convention for the magazine. He wired me $600 and told me that he needed 10,000 words on the new foodstuffs that these reptiles were going to mass market to the small children and dumb beasts. I was filled with reservations. I knew there was a lot of ways to buy it out in the desert. Sun poisoning, dust mites, radon gas, and of course, radiation from all the nuke testing that had gone out there in the 50s. "We're going to need supplies," Ernesto, my colon therapist, yelled. "As your healthcare provider, I recommend we stock up and run an eco-hybrid card once. Of course, I'll have to come with you. There's no telling how many colonics you'll need on this one." And with that, we were off. We first headed to Wild Oats and picked up the eco-rent car out at the airport. We had a galaxy of supplements. 600 caps of 1,000 milligram vitamin C, 5 bottles of grapeseed extract, a gross of emergencies, 16 ear candles, a portable colon bag and hose, a massive array of 5 HTP, melatonin, fish oil, detox tea, protein powders, 2 virgin steel pill cutters, 1,200 hits of homeopathics, a gallon of B12 liquid, incense, 2 cartons of clove cigarettes, 3 ounces of pure Colombian MSM, assorted herbs, 6 12-packs of smart water, and 2 full tanks of oxygen, which we scored from an all-night medical supply place in East LA. Juan, the night clerk, said we needed a prescription for the O2, but a crisp $10 bill had quilled his reservations. Ernesto offered him a quick, free colonic and was yelling about how he must have 12 pounds of beans stuck in his rectum as I pulled him and the tank out the door. We had not intended to buy so much shit, but in a gig like this, you could never be too careful. Plus, once you started buying, it was hard to stop. Now we were headed full steam into the belly of the beast, the town that never sleeps, and would be filled with some of the sickest minds of our time. Food engineers. Death to the food engineers. We started in on the supplements at once. I slammed down 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C and a handful of grapeseed and chased it with a bottle of smart water filled with MSM. Ernesto hooked up the colon bag in the back seat and ran the hose under the seat. He filled it with 3 bags of Sony 7, which he carried with him at all times, and prepared for the worst. Now he was driving, and I had time to reflect on the task at hand. Just then Ernesto spoke up. "I hope these pigs have got a clean room for us, one cleaned with all organic products. I have to have an air purifier. You do understand I have a very sensitive system. Are you fucking listening to me?" He was yelling now and not looking at the road. The car was heading for the shoulder of the road and a kid that was hitchhiking. "Jesus Christ," I yelled and hit him on the side of the head. "Watch the fucking road." "Let's give this kid a lift," he said, and hit the brakes. The car came sliding to a stop, inches from the boy. The kid jumped back. I rolled down the window. "Son, do you need a lift?" "Holy shit," he said. "Is this one of them hybrid cars? I've never been in one of them." "Well, boy," Ernesto said with a strange smile, "this is your lucky day." Then he leaned over to me and said softly, "This kid needs a colonic in the worst way." I shot him a look that said no, but it would do no good. Ernesto had been hitting the O2 and the grapeseed hard for the last 100 miles, and they had that hungry look in his eyes. I knew better than to argue. There's nothing more helpless and depraved than a man deep into an oxygen, anti-oxygen binge with a clean colon fetish. I opened the door and let the boy in the back seat. He was holding a can of Coke and a bag of Cheetos. "Get that shit out of this car," Ernesto screamed as he hit the gas. The boy threw the can and the bag out the window, which just made matters worse. "Biodegradation! Biodegradation!" Ernesto was yelling as I tried to explain why my therapist was upset. I offered the boy some smart water and some 5-HTP. "You see, we're on a mission. I want you to understand that we're going to do a story about the food lizards in Las Vegas." I had just begun, yet I could see the boy looked worried. "Look, we're not crazy or anything. My therapist just needs organic food." "I'm going to stick that hose up your ass, boy," Ernesto was muttering. I thought the boy could hear. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Pay no attention to him, son," I reassured the lad. "I'm a naturopath, and my friend here is a licensed colon therapist. We are professional people with high morals." I stopped and studied his face. I could see fear. Ernesto was waving the hose at him and making a slurping sound. "Will you stop it?" I snapped at Ernesto. "You're scaring the boy." He laughed, and then he said to the boy, "We're your friends. We're not like the others that want you to get us shit." The car jerked to the right, and Ernesto shook the hose at the boy and made a snake sound. "Look, I think you guys are great, but you can let me out anywhere," the boy said in a shaky tone. Clearly, he was rattled by the hose. I wanted to tell him to relax, but the more I looked at him, the more I knew he really did need a colonic. His eyes were sunk into his face, and he had dark rings around his eyes. I took the hose from Ernesto. "This will not hurt a bit. In fact, you might like it," I heard myself say, as I lunged over the seat and grabbed the boy. He looked like a deer in the headlights. I did not know what had come over me. Maybe it was the 5-HTP or all that MSM. But I not only wanted to clean his colon, I needed to. It had become the single thought in my mind. Ernesto was screaming, "Give him the hose! Give him the hose!" I wrestled with the helpless soda junkie. In the background, Love Me came out over the radio by No Doubt, and the dark desert sky flew by us at breakneck speed. "Stop!" he whimpered, but all I could hear was the mounds of yeast and parasites screaming inside of him, the tons of free radicals partying in his body. I knew that he was saying no, but his soul was saying yes. I had just pinned him to the seat when his foot kicked the bag, sending a flood of 77 out of the hose. 64 ounces of pure colon cleaner ejecting like a fire hose onto the window in the back of Ernesto's head and seat. "What the fuck?" Ernesto screamed and hit the brakes, sending the yeast-ridden boy and myself onto the back seat floor. "Get him the fuck out of here," Ernesto said, clearly upset by the waste of the elixir of colon health. "Get him out before I beat him to death with the old 2-tank. The boy scrambled out from underneath me and fell backwards onto the pavement. Ernesto hit the gas, and we were back on the road in seconds. "Glad to be rid of him," Ernesto said. "That kid was a freak. Did you see his eyes?" "I could smell his colon," I said, trying to regain my cool. Now the only smell was the liquid clay that filled my nose, and my blood was racing. I took a few hits of O2, a handful of kava, and lit up a clove. Ernesto rolled down the window and muttered something, but I was lost in a dream. The kava was taking hold, and I was a happy camper. "You Shouldn't Take It So Hard" by Keith Richards was playing on the radio. I turned it up as I pulled a long drag of the clove into my lungs. What the fuck was Keith Richards saying? God, that man shouldn't even be alive. In fact, I don't even think he is. I think they just drag him out, hook him up to a 220-volt line, and throw the switch. You shouldn't take it so hard. Powerful words from a dead man. The kava was rolling along nicely now. Keith the Undead was riffing in my head. I was a man on the road. Wind in the hair, lead in the pencil. Chapter 2. The Pig Fest. The sign said, Las Vegas, 50 miles. What new hell would be waiting for us there? Could we go unnoticed amidst the mass of food junkists? Did they send this young, sick man as an agent to take us down before we took them down? The more I thought about it, the more I began to think that he was a first strike weapon from the other side. Maybe they had a collective mind that controlled them all, like the Borg on Star Trek. We would have to be ready for anything. Ernesto was right to bring the colon hose. I had seen how it struck fear in the boy. They must all fear it. Maybe it's like a cross to a vampire, or a silver bullet to the werewolves. We would have to keep it close and full at all times if we were going to get through this alive. 1 a.m., MGM Grand Lobby. Christ, this is a fucking pig fest, Ernesto yelled as we stumbled out of the hybrid and onto the carpeted concrete driveway of the MGM. My mind was reeling, but I could just barely answer him. You're right, was all I could manage, as I tightened my hand like a death grip on the colon hose and the O2 clanked against the carpet. It was a pig fest. You could see it everywhere. Like drones with dark rings around their eyes and hollowed-out deep eye sockets with bloodshot pupils and yellow eye whites. Stinking of cheese food and MSG. Bowels filled with the decay and hearts filled with the blackness of Satan from years of inbreeding and TV dinners. Fleshy sacks of soft, flabby skin, thick with greasy cheese film. Lifeless hulls of fragmented DNA being held together by chemically converted molecules in a brain-numbing GMO stew that would make Darwin blow his fucking brains out. I was ranting now, aloud. You fucking people are dead already, I cried as I stumbled over the O2 hose and fell into a fake tree in the lobby. You got Gatorade for blood and gummy bears for semen. You shall be nailed to the cross of sin and covered in bile on the day of judgment. You shall be judged. Ernesto grabbed me from the tree and covered my mouth. Jesus Christ, are you out of your fucking mind? He muttered as he helped me to a small table and out of the way in the lobby bar. Keep a low fucking profile, would you? These ape bloods are not kidding around. If they clock our action, the moon will not be far enough for us to hide. Keep it together, and I'll get us checked in. He found me an empty table in the lobby bar, made sure I was placed in a feng shui position of power, and arranged the salt and pepper shakers and table tent for maximum energy flow. I needed all the energy I could get. Ernesto checked us in under Mr. and Mrs. Kent Blackhore, a name I've used before when I was on assignment. I was trying to explain to my cocktail waitron that if I was to drink anything from the bar, I would need to get my GSE from the car, and I could only have ionically suspended mineral water with a slice of organic lime when a dwarf in a bellhop suit walked up to us. I was sure my minutes were numbered. I could feel me crushing his lizard skull with a heavy cocktail stool when he said he had a fax for Mr. Kent Blackhore. I snapped it from his teeny hand and told him he was the luckiest gecko on the face of the earth. He shot me a dirty look. "Fuck off, fly muncher," I yelled, and he moved away quickly from the table. "That was not very nice, Candy," the waitress said. "You know, little people are people, too." She was a mental fucking giant. "You say that now, but when his people come back to rule this planet, you and I, Candy, we will be food for the fucking gecko gods." Candy moved away quickly from the table without a drink or another word. I opened the fax. It was from Bruno, my editor and trainer. He was a large man with a huge head. I mean, his head was so big it blocked out the fucking sun. You could only imagine this giant brain in there. He was Indo-Slavican, a small island mountain country off the west coast of Iceland. It was populated by people that were legend to have fallen from a distant star. Bruno came to the States when he was a small boy. He left on a raft made out of dead goats and floated into the shipping lanes, where he was picked up by a cargo ship carrying a shipment of Jack LaLanne weights and jockstraps that were headed for Jack's home gym. Adopted by Jack and his wife, Bruno learned everything about sports fitness and the homoerotic joys of what Jack would call shower spotting from the gym guru himself. Jack would often say that after a good workout, you needed someone to spot you in the shower in case you passed out from bending over for the soap or trying to reach a hard-to-reach area on your body when you had that after-workout thick feeling. Bruno left Jack's house of fun and went into business in LA, and despite his hulking size and smell of rotting cow, he became the toast of the town. Bruno's the only man I know that can get down 1,000 grams of protein in an hour. His urine comes out like melted cheese and can be used as superglue or adhesive for the heat tiles on the space shuttle. With his braided armpit hair and size 19 shoes, Bruno is a force to be reckoned with. He had come with me on an interview once. We were high in the Hollywood Hills at the Tudor bungalow of Suzanne Summers. She was teaching a class on Tai Chi to 62 Hollywood wives. One look at Bruno's size 19s, and the class took on a whole new feel. After 6 hours of unbridled freaking, spandex, leg warmers, and headbands lie in a pile on the floor, wrapped between the spent bodies of Hollywood wives and a Suzanne Summers that looked as if she had seen the very face of God. I was left breathless by the poise and majesty of Bruno's work. I, of course, took photos, some of which are still on the website. Now he was my editor, and had sent me to this hellhole in the desert. I knew this fax was instructions he said he would send. I read on, filled with reservations. Kent, I see you got there safely. I'm tracking you on the GPS on your eco car. I wonder if you could open a window and hang a flag out so when the SAT 204 does its next flyby at 1800 hours, I can target your room. I've got a few friends at JPL and Skunkworks out here that are helping me keep an eye on you. Also, I have a business friend from the Universal Life Church that I have sent out there to help you with the spiritual angle on the article. The Reverend Some Young Bitch will be meeting you tomorrow at the Whole Foods Juice Bar at 8 p.m. Due to hormonal-induced photosensitivity, the Reverend cannot be out in sunlight. Oh, and Kent, the Reverend is a kind and sensitive light-working soul, so be gentle with he/she. This post-operation time is very hard on him/her, and the hormones can cause insane mood swings. Remember, we're close to a deadline here, and if I have to run another story about stem cell benefits of steroids, I'll hunt you down and devour you like a bowl of creatine at the Mr. Universe pageant. I will suck out your guts through your navel with a dustbuster and lube my Nordic track with them. Well, you get the point. Love and ripped abs, Bruno. This was great. All I needed was another loony to deal with. He, she, whatever. Get me to the suite, I barked at Ernesto, and we stumbled into a shiny glass elevator. Inside the room looked like a horror house from an old movie. Deep red carpets, the color of blood, and velvet wallpaper of gold and blue. It was a 2-story room with a winding staircase that looked out over the city of sin through 20-foot-tall tinted windows. Well, my friend, Ernesto muttered as he helped me to the sunken living room and into an overstuffed sofa. You've gone to hell, and it's covered in fur. This place is binding my colon, and I can see you're sitting to one side. Is it time? No, I barked. I'm fine. I just need rest. That was a note from Bruno. You know how fucked up he is. I have to rest. Christ, I need rest, you fucking bitch. Can't you see I'm under a lot of pressure here? Ernesto was indifferent. He moved to the kitchen and took out some organic apples and a virgin steel knife. I think someone's a little cranky, he quipped as he sliced an apple and dripped Bio-K all over it, spilling some of it on the rug. You fuck, I yelled. Do you know how expensive that shit is? And where are we going to get more in this festering puke village, this godforsaken barren wasteland where nothing pure can or will grow? How will we even get the story if you reduce our provisions with your obsessive consumption? I ended, feeling the rant had taken the last bit of my strength. Kent, my man, you've got to chill. Here, have a hit of this and grab some shut-eye. He handed me a handful of Cava, Cal Mag, and Com Forte. I knew what he was up to. He was going to knock me out and stick that hose so far up my ass I'd need a search party to find it. I popped them into my mouth and chased it with 5 ounces of liquid B12. It only took 5 minutes for the freight train to hit me, and then I was gone.
You've been listening to Cramped and Bloating in Las Vegas. The story continues in Part 2.